Mike Tyson wasn't just another heavyweight champion. He was a cultural phenomenon, a force of nature that transcended boxing itself.
No, I did some cocaine for a week. I had to get high.
June 30th, 1966. Brownsville, Brooklyn. If you don't know Brownsville, consider yourself lucky. In the 1970s, it was a war zone. We're talking about one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America, where survival wasn't guaranteed and childhood innocence was a luxury nobody could afford. Mike Tyson never really knew his father. The man abandoned the family around the time Mike was born. His mother, Lorna, did her best raising 3 kids alone in that hell. But by age 10, Mike was running with street gangs. By 13, he'd been arrested dozens of times. This wasn't a kid getting into schoolyard scuffles. This was a boy learning that violence was the only language that mattered on those streets, the thing about young Mike that people forget. He wasn't some tough guy. He was a chubby kid with a lisp who got bullied relentlessly. The other kids mocked him, pushed him around, until one day, something snapped. When Mike fought back, people saw something terrifying, a rage that came from somewhere deep and primal. That rage would later make him millions. Back then, it just kept him alive. At 13, Mike was sent to Tryon School for Boys, a juvenile detention center upstate. That's where fate intervened. A counselor named Bobby Stewart, former boxer, saw this angry kid and recognized something. Raw talent, unpolished, undisciplined, but undeniable. Stewart started teaching Mike the fundamentals, and what he saw amazed him. This kid, barely a teenager, hit like a grown man. Stewart knew he couldn't develop this talent alone, so he introduced Mike to a man who would change everything, Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato was a boxing philosopher. He'd already trained one heavyweight champion, Floyd Patterson. But by the early 1980s, Cus was an old man living above his gym in the Catskills, largely forgotten by the boxing world. When Bobby Stewart brought Mike Tyson to him in 1980, Cus was 72 years old. Mike was 14. Cus looked at this street kid and didn't just see a fighter, he saw a future heavyweight champion of the world. More than that, he saw a son. Cus became Mike's legal guardian, gave him structure, gave him purpose. For the first time in his life, Mike Tyson had a father figure who believed in him. But Cus didn't just love Mike, he molded him. Cus taught Mike the peekaboo style, a defensive technique that seemed tailor-made for someone of Mike's build.
Look, just relax, Michael, relax, just relax. Just relax.
You keep your gloves high, elbows tight, head moving constantly. You make yourself a small target, slip inside your opponent's reach, then unleash devastation. It was beautiful, brutal chess. More importantly, Cus taught Mike that boxing was 90% mental. He'd drill it into him every single day. Cus convinced Mike that he was destined for greatness, that no man alive could defeat him if he believed in himself completely. Mike absorbed everything. He studied films of Jack Dempsey, Roberto Duran, Jack Johnson. He'd wake up at 5 a.m. to run, spend hours in the gym perfecting his craft. Cus had given him something more valuable than technique. He'd given him identity. Mike Tyson wasn't just some kid from the ghetto anymore. He was going to be champion of the world. Mike turned pro on March 6, 1985. He was 18 years old. His first professional fight lasted 1 minute and 47 seconds. Hector Mercedes didn't know what hit him. That became the pattern. In his first year as a pro, Mike fought 15 times. He won every single fight by knockout, and 11 of them ended in the first round. This wasn't normal. Heavyweights usually take their time, build their record against tomato cans, learn the ropes. Mike was destroying everyone put in front of him. Grown men, experienced fighters, stepping into the ring confident, stepping out on a stretcher. The boxing world started paying attention. This kid wasn't just winning. He was bringing back something the sport had lost. Fear. Real, primal fear. You could see it in his opponent's eyes during the pre-fight stare down. Mike would stand there, no robe, just black trunks and black shoes, his body a coiled spring, and he'd stare through his opponent's soul. Some men were beaten before the bell ever rang. In 1986, Mike fought 13 times. He won every single fight. 11 of those were by knockout. But November 22nd, 1986, was the night that changed everything. Trevor Berbick, the WBC heavyweight champion, the last man to fight Muhammad Ali. Berbick was experienced, tough, expected to give young Mike a real test. It lasted 2 rounds. Mike dismantled Berbick with a combination so vicious that when Berbick tried to stand, his legs wouldn't work. He got up, fell down, got up again, stumbled like a drunk man. The referee had no choice but to stop it. Mike Tyson, at 20 years and 4 months, became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, a record that still stands today, nearly 40 years later. Between 1986 and 1988, Mike Tyson was unstoppable. He unified all 3 major heavyweight titles, becoming the first undisputed heavyweight champion in a decade. But numbers don't tell the full story. You had to see him fight to understand. Mike's peekaboo style was perfectly suited to his 5' 10" frame. Most heavyweights were 6 feet 2 inches, 6 feet 3 inches, trying to use their reach advantage. Mike would bob and weave, making them miss, then explode inside with hooks and uppercuts that came from his legs, his hips, his entire body. The power was shocking. Grown men, elite athletes, crumbling from a single punch. His hand speed was unreal for a heavyweight. He'd throw combinations that belonged in the welterweight division, except each punch carried knockout power. That's what made him different. It wasn't just that he could knock you out. It was that he could hit you 8 times before you realized the first punch had landed. But the real weapon, intimidation. Mike had an aura around him that psychologically defeated opponents. Michael Spinks, an undefeated champion moving up to heavyweight, looked terrified at the weigh-in. The fight lasted 91 seconds. Larry Holmes, the great Larry Holmes, tough as they come, got knocked out in 4 rounds. These weren't club fighters. These were champions, and Mike went through them like they were sparring partners. You remember those nights, don't you? Gathered around the TV, friends over, drinks poured, and wondering if maybe, just maybe, this opponent would last past the 2nd round. Usually they didn't. Your $50 bought you 3 minutes of violence and a lifetime of memories. Cus D'Amato died in November 1985, just before Mike won his first title. He never got to see Mike become champion, but he'd already seen enough. Before he died, Cus told people that Mike would be the youngest heavyweight champion ever. He was right about everything except one thing. He thought he'd be around to guide Mike through it all. Without Cus, Mike was vulnerable. He'd never developed the discipline to handle success. How could he? He went from poverty to earning millions before he was old enough to drink legally. He surrounded himself with people who saw him as a meal ticket, not as a person who needed guidance. Enter Don King. The most controversial promoter in boxing history latched onto Mike, and many believe he exploited him financially and emotionally. Mike's personal life became a circus. His marriage to actress Robin Givens played out in the tabloids, ending in a bitter public divorce. Mike started partying, stopped training properly, lost focus. February 11th, 1990. Tokyo, Japan. James Buster Douglas was a 42-1 underdog. Nobody gave him a chance. Mike came in overweight, undertrained, overconfident. Douglas fought the fight of his life. He boxed brilliantly, kept Mike at range, and in the 10th round, he landed an uppercut that sent Mike to the canvas for the first time in his professional career. Mike got up, but he couldn't find his mouthpiece. The referee counted him out. Just like that, the aura of invincibility was shattered. Mike had lost, and the world saw that he was human after all. Then came the rape conviction in 1992. Mike served 3 years in prison. 3 years out of the sport during what should have been his absolute prime. When he got out in 1995, he was 28 years old. Still young by heavyweight standards, but boxing years are different. Those 3 years in a cell aged him in ways that time alone can't measure. Mike came back strong initially. He knocked out his first opponents, regained his titles in 1996. But something was different. The head movement wasn't quite as sharp, the combinations weren't quite as fast, and the opponents weren't quite as scared. November 9th, 1996. Evander Holyfield, a significant underdog, shocked the world by stopping Mike in the 11th round. Mike couldn't believe it. The rematch was set for June 28th, 1997. What happened next became one of the most infamous moments in sports history. Frustrated, outboxed, and losing another fight to Holyfield, Mike snapped. In the 3rd round, he bit off a piece of Holyfield's ear. The fight was stopped. Mike was disqualified. His legacy was forever tainted. You remember where you were for that one too, don't you? The shock, the disgust, the bizarre spectacle of it all. Mike Tyson, the once great champion, reduced to a circus act. He kept fighting for years after that. But it was sad. The loss to Lennox Lewis in 2002 showed everyone that the old Mike was gone. His final fight in 2005 against journeyman Kevin McBride ended with Mike quitting on his stool. He was done. 38 years old, broken down, a shell of the destroyer who had terrified the world. So why will there never be another Mike Tyson? It's not just about the boxing, though his combination of speed, power, and technique at heavyweight remains virtually unique. It's about timing. It's about context. It's about lightning in a bottle. Mike emerged at the perfect time. The heavyweight division in the mid-1980s desperately needed a star. The sport needed someone to capture the public imagination. Mike was the right fighter at the right moment, with the right look, the right style, and the right story. But more than that, Mike represented something primal that modern boxing can't replicate. He was dangerous, not just in the ring, but as a person. You genuinely believed he might kill someone in there. That wasn't marketing, that was real. In today's sanitized corporate sports world, you can't have that anymore. The peekaboo style died with Mike. Modern heavyweights are mostly 6 feet 4 inches or taller, using their reach. The division evolved away from the kind of fighter Mike was. Training methods changed, the sport changed, the world changed. And let's be honest, there will never be another trainer-fighter relationship like Cuss and Mike. That bond, that belief, that transformation from troubled kid to champion, it was once in a lifetime. Today's fighters are products of systems, teams, committees. Mike was the product of one old man's absolute conviction. Mike Tyson's legacy is complicated. His prime was shorter than it should have been. His life outside the ring was a disaster. He made terrible decisions that hurt himself and others. But despite all that, his impact on boxing and popular culture remains enormous. Even now, decades after his last meaningful fight, Mike is more famous than any active heavyweight. His interviews go viral. His one-man show sold out theaters. He became a thoughtful, reflective person who openly discusses his demons and mistakes. The redemption arc, in a way, is still being written.
Known as the Raging Bull, please welcome the former middleweight champion of the world, Jake LaMotta.
You're gonna be like Joe Louis, Marciano, maybe even better. You're a bigger and stronger Marciano. There's no question about it. Stay away from all the garbage out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of garbage out there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why do women have to be garbage, though?
No, I know, but it's, unfortunately, guys like you and I, we attract garbage.
But what we remember, what we'll always remember, is those nights in the late 1980s when Mike Tyson would walk to the ring without an entrance song, without a robe, just a towel around his neck and bad intentions in his heart. We remember the fear in his opponent's eyes. We remember the explosive power, the devastating combinations, the sheer dominance. For 2 or 3 years, Mike Tyson was the most exciting, most feared, most dominant force in all of sports. He was exactly what Cus D'Amato promised he would be, a conqueror, the baddest man on the planet. You had to be there to really understand it. The younger generation watches the highlights on YouTube and sees an exciting knockout artist. But they didn't feel what we felt when Mike was in his prime. They didn't experience the anticipation, the electricity, the sense that you were witnessing something special, something that transcended sport. There will never be another boxer like Mike Tyson because there can't be. The circumstances that created him, the poverty, the violence, the salvation through an old trainer's belief, the perfect timing, the unique style, the cultural impact, it's not replicable. You can't manufacture that combination of factors. Mike Tyson was a once-in-a-lifetime fighter, a once-in-a-lifetime story, a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. We were privileged to witness it, even if we didn't fully appreciate it at the time. And that's why, no matter how long boxing continues, no matter how many great heavyweights come and go, there will never, ever be another Mike Tyson. You remember? I know you do.